In a world where left is up and right is apparently wrong, do souls make sense of it all, or at least have fun trying? Gear up, friends, for Chicken and the Dog.
Welcome to another episode of Chicken and the Dog. I am the dog, and with me, as always, is the guy that is ready for the upcoming synchronized swimming season, the chicken. What up, dog?
I love it. There's nothing more beautiful than two people in unison slicing through the water.
Yes, it's a great sport.
I think that some of the Gamecock offensive linemen should link into it just to kind of learn that chemistry.
I think so too. I think that'd be a great thing. So, look, guys, we got a lot to talk about today. A lot of good games. We say this. I say this almost every week over the last several weeks. Man, we are in the meat of the season. Good games are happening. Upsets are happening, and we've had big upsets almost every week, right? And I don't think that this week is probably going to be any different whatsoever. I think there'll be upsets in the top 25 games. I think there's going to be upsets in the SEC. So look, man, let's dive into these top 25 games because man, there's a lot to talk about. A 3-4 UCLA, the Fighting Nicos, takes on a 7-0 number 2 Indiana in Bloomington, Indiana. Indiana is favored to win that game by 25.5. Over and under is 54.5. I mean, I like Indiana in this game. I think Mendoza is doing really good, but is this another game where Nico does something crazy? I don't know.
I think it could be a competitive game. Oddly enough, I like the recent surge that the Bruins have had, sparked a little bit of life back into that program. But I just think Mendoza and the Hoosiers are too much right now. Could be competitive, could be a close one, but I think Mendoza and his arm really propel Indiana over this.
I think so. Um, and look, this isn't. I think it's worth mentioning this next game, even though I don't think there's really a chance, but you never know. But a 3-4, 1-3 in the ACC, Syracuse is taking on an undefeated number 7 Fighting Nerds, Georgia Tech. They are 7-0 in overall, 4-0 in conference. They are playing in Atlanta. Tech is favored to win that game by 16.5 points. Look, I think Georgia Tech's probably going to win this game, but Syracuse is one of those sneaky teams, man. Almost every year they beat someone or almost beat someone they shouldn't.
You know, I rolled through Atlanta yesterday, and there's just something about that city that is intense, that is aggressive in nature. And if you're not accustomed to that environment, the traffic alone will eat you alive. Syracuse, New York is located in the upstate of New York. It is not associated with the Big Apple and Manhattan and the whirling and twirling of all of that is that great metropolis. They're up in the upstate, up around Cortland, and they're not used to the environment that Atlanta is going to bring. I like Tech in this ball game. I think that they are going to own Syracuse the same way that Atlanta traffic owns visitors.
Look, Atlanta traffic probably owns its own residents too.
I don't know. Some of the ones I saw yesterday seemed to be quite comfortable, even though I was white knuckling that steering wheel.
Oh my God, it's terrible, man. Anytime I go to Atlanta, I try to time that thing just right. And it doesn't matter whether it's uh, rush hour traffic or not, it's still awful.
It's
Just,
Atlanta hour traffic.
yes, it's terrible, man. Look, man, this next game, again, not something worth really mentioning. It's not a big, high profile game per se. A number 16, 6-1. Look, man, 3-0 in the ACC. Virginia. That's right. I didn't say Virginia Tech. I said Virginia is having to make a trip to Chapel Hill to take on a very struggling 2-4, 0-2 in the ACC, North Carolina. Now, why is this game somewhat important? I think if Virginia beats them, which I think they do, Virginia is favored by 10.5 points. The over and under is 51.5. I think, and I know everybody said, oh, no, it's not happening, blah, 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 blah. But I think this could put the nail in the coffin for Bill Belichick in North Carolina if he ends up going 2-5.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think number one, the Cavaliers are going to own this ball game. I think the Tar Heels are going to be a distant memory on this college football season as far as their future goes. I know everybody wants to say that it's rumor that both the admin at Chapel Hill and Belichick himself are trying to work out what would be a good and fair buyout deal, provided that he can get a job somewhere else in coaching or in the media. Look for the media. I don't think anybody's going to want to take a gamble on this ride anymore. But I think that when there's enough rumor, where there's enough smoke, there's probably some real fire going on there. And I agree. I think the beginning of the end of the Belichick train has already happened. We're just now all owning it. We're all embracing the fact that this didn't work.
That's right. Absolutely. Hey, look, man, this next game is I call this the battle of the playoff spot. There's, in my opinion, from what I could tell, there's about 3 teams right now in the group of 5 conferences that are battling for that one spot, right? That one guaranteed spot. And I think these 2 teams are one of, this game's got 2 of those teams. A number 18, 6-1, 3-0 in the American, South Florida is taking on a very good 6-1, 2-1 in the American, Memphis. We know what Memphis can do. I know they lost last week to UAB. That was a big upset. That was a big loss to them. But it's in Memphis, man. South Florida is favored by 4.5 points. The over and under, listen to this, 62.5 points. Them boys are going to score some points, man. So I don't know, man. I mean, I think Memphis could have a bounce back week, man, and beat South Florida.
This is going to be a good game. I agree. Memphis is looking for that bounce back week after a tough loss last week, but South Florida is just on a tear. Alex Golish is out to prove something either to South Florida as far as pay me my money, let's talk extension, or hey carousel, here I am, I'm for real, who wants me?
Oh my
So
God.
this
Yeah.
this is a knockdown drag out for a lot of pride on a lot of different levels. Look for this to be a close one, but I like South Florida.
See, I like where your head is at because I think that's right. I think that head coach of South Florida, man, is trying to make a statement win because there is a lot of good jobs opening up, and and I don't think again I don't think it's over. I think with North Carolina potentially, I think there's a shot that LSU has a job opening coming up in the very near future. We'll see. Who knows if Kelly's going to last? Excuse me. This next game, man, I think is pretty cool, man. I think it's going to be a great game. But a number 11, BYU 7-0, 4-0 in the Big 12 is taking on a pretty good Iowa State. They're 5-2, 2-2 in the Big 12. They are playing in Iowa. Iowa State is favored to win that game by 2.5 points. Over and under 49.5. Look, man, I've been picking against BYU almost every week. I think it was last week when they played the Utes. And I was like, no, I'm going with Utes. I'm going with Utes. I've been picking against these guys, and I'm going to continue my trend. I think Iowa State wins this game. They're going to lose at some point, and I'm going to be right.
Well, here's the thing. One way or the other, we will be right this week because I am right there with you. I've been picking against the Cougars all year long. and I'm going to stop because something's not working in that equation. So I'm actually going to go with the Cougars on this one. Look for BYU to pull it out.
Oh man. All right, look, number 23, 5-2, 2-2 in the Big Ten. The Fighting Curtises, Illinois, is having to take a trip to Seattle, Washington, to take on an also 5-2, 2-2 in the Big Ten. Washington's favored to win that game by 3.5 points, over and under 54.5. Dude, give me the Curtises. I'm down with them.
Yeah, I'm fighting Illini all the way on this one. They've had such a great season so far, playing really hard, solid football, knocking people out, making great plays. Give me the Illini.
Yep. Uh, Texas Tech is playing Oklahoma State. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, there you go.
Look, man, a 4-3, 2-2 in the Big 12 is taken on a number 21, 6-1, 4-0 in the Big 12, Cincinnati. And Cincy's favored to win that game by 3.5 points, man. Look, here's the deal. Cincinnati, that's right, I'm saying this. Cincinnati has the opportunity to either win the Big 12 or at least make it to the Big 12 championship. Man, how about that? Cincinnati.
The Bearcats have been clawing their way back into football prominence in the Big 12. They had such a great run several seasons ago. Then they came into the Big 12. Obviously, there's an adjustment, a learning curve of how to be a player in a bigger conference, how to be a program in a bigger conference. They're doing that. They're reestablishing themselves. I like the Bearcats.
I do too. I mean, you could go with the Bears or the Bearcats. It's the
I
battle
prefer
of the
the
Bears.
Bearcats, I believe. It's a weird. If it's just a bear, it's a really weird looking bear.
Well, I'm just saying that the Baylor Bears versus the Bearcats. You didn't pick that up, did you?
Well, I did. I was just ignoring the fact that you thought Baylor was going to win this game. It's not going to happen.
Oh, hey. Um, okay. What about this one, man? A 3-4, 2-2 in the ACC is taking on a number 9, 5-1, 1-1 in the ACC, Miami. And Miami is favored to win that game by 29.5 points. Over and under is 45.5. I think Beck bounces back from a awful game last week and just runs all over Stanford.
So here's the fun part. I agree. I agree. Miami got punched in the mouth last week. The problem was Miami was the one that was doing the punching.
True.
So hopefully they've had a few meetings this week about learning how not to injure yourself, and not to sandbag yourself so much with, I'm going to say it again, 4 interceptions that they can come out and beat the Cardinal. I don't think that there's any question of talent and skill on this Hurricane roster. There's no reason that they should not just absolutely blow through Stanford like the Hurricanes that they are. But let's just make sure that Beck remembers which guy he's supposed to throw it to.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if he's colorblind and just saw the wrong jersey. Maybe
The
he's having
way he was
a
throwing
transition.
last week, it just looked like he was plain blind, completely couldn't see a thing. Just chuck it somewhere.
There's a guy. Let me just throw it to him.
Yeah.
um, look, a number 25, 5-2, 3-1 of the Big Ten, Michigan takes on a 3-4, 0-4 in the Big Ten, Michigan State in East Lansing. Look, Michigan's favored by two touchdowns, over and under 48.5. I don't see why Michigan doesn't win this game and own the state of Michigan. I think go Big Blue.
Yeah, Michigan is, and almost quietly. I don't think Michigan ever actually does anything truly quietly, but in a very secondary tone, playing backseat to obviously Ohio State and to Oregon, another big player in the Big Ten. Michigan is churning out a very solid season, trying to stay under the radar a little bit here. Yeah, that's not going to happen this week. You're clearly on everybody's radar this week. Michigan dominates Michigan State in this ball game.
I think so too. And Ryan Day, they're coming for you again, buddy. Oh
Yeah,
my. Oh
Yeah.
my! I actually talked to an Ohio State guy. I don't know. It was a couple weeks ago. I was out traveling, and he was like, "Look, man, if he loses to Michigan again, I don't care." He goes, that win to Michigan last year is the only thing that saved his, or that law, winning the national championship was the only thing that saved his job because they were ready to fire him after that loss to Michigan last year.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, it's Michigan or bust. Last game in the top 25. So a 6-1, 3-1 in the Big 12. Houston, they're fighting for that spot too, man, in the Big 12. Is taking on a 5-2, 3-1 in the Big 12. Number 24, Arizona State. Arizona State's coming off of that big win, man, and against Texas Tech. I think Arizona State rides that big win. Arizona State is favored by 6.5, over and under 46.5. I like Arizona State in this game.
Yeah, Arizona State has the happy tendency to get streaky on the right side of the win column. I look for them to extend that this week, coming off of a very big win last week against the Red Raiders. I think that they ride that wave into victory this week as well.
All right, now let's get into some SEC games, man, because there is some good ones. A number 8 Ole Miss, 6-1, 3-1 in the SEC, has to travel to Norman, Oklahoma to take on number 13. Oklahoma is 6-1, 2-1 in the SEC. OU was favored to win that game by 5.5 points. Look, man, I think Trinidad Chambliss, Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss, the Fighting Kiffins, the Fighting Rebels have a very big. They bounce back. Uh, Oklahoma had a great game last week, so they're riding that high after their defeat from Texas. I think Ole Miss comes in there and handles business and gets a W.
There's a lot to be said for both of these teams going into this game. Obviously, the loss last week for Ole Miss at the hands of our dog of the week, Gunnar Stockton, who was really the difference maker in that ball game. Other than that, Ole Miss played an outstanding game in Athens. To have to go into Norman, Oklahoma this week, where yes, the Sooners are riding somewhat of a high. I mean, uh, to the detriment of my own team, they beat South Carolina. They beat South Carolina with a non-existent offensive line in Columbia. So yeah, you won an SEC game on the road, and that's huge. I don't care. But you didn't beat an SEC team at full strength. I think that this is going to be an Ole Miss Rebels win. I think that this is going to be another statement opportunity for Lane, and I think that Lane comes out making the right statement.
Hmm, I like that. A 3-4, 0-4 in the SEC. Auburn takes on a 2-5, 0-3 in the SEC. Arkansas in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Arkansas is favored to win that game by 2.5 points. Over to under 56.5. Look, I'm going to say it right now. If that spread holds true and Arkansas wins this game, and Hugh Freeze finds himself 3-5, he's done.
Yeah,
There will be
yeah.
there will be an opening in Auburn. There is no doubt about that. Um, I actually like Hugh Freeze in this game. I think Auburn handles business and delivers Petrino a loss.
I think that Arkansas has been coming along. They've been playing really good football, but there's something about this Auburn team that is disruptive. They've not been able to show that in the win column necessarily as much as they would like this year, but Hugh Freeze desperately needs this win. Arkansas has they're just playing with house money, right? Like the season's over, Pittman's gone. There's going to be a coaching search going on. A lot of guys are probably going to enter the portal at the end of the season, so we're just all out there having fun, slinging it around, and it shows in the basketball-like approach that they've had in Fayetteville since the Pittman departure. I like Hugh Freeze and Auburn. They've still got something to play for, which is pride. They're still working their way toward the Iron Bowl at the end of the year. They want to have a little bit of momentum behind them going into that ball game. I think the Tigers find a way.
Yeah, Yeah, I do too. All right, so look, man, and number 4, 6-1, 4-0 in the SEC, a really, really solid program after the week 1 loss, man. Alabama, the Crimson Tide, not your Crimson Tide, Senior Chiefs Crimson Tide, has been playing lights out football, man, and I'll give them that. They have to take a trip to William Bryce Stadium, Coletown, South Carolina. They got to take on a 3-4, 1-4 in the SEC. Your Gamecocks, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is my thought, and I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Alabama has this game on the radar anymore. I don't. I think they are looking past this. I think they're looking in their future schedule. I think they're going to look past the Gamecocks. It's your birthday on Monday. I think South Carolina delivers you a great birthday present. South Carolina beats the Crimson Tide this weekend. That's my call.
Again, we as a team will be right after this weekend because we're going to be a split decision. I saw in the news the other day that another offensive lineman, he was already hurt last week, but it was announced that he is out for the season. Casey Henry is out for the year at South Carolina. So another man down on that offensive front. I don't disagree that Alabama is probably not really concerned about this event on Columbia. I don't think that they're completely overlooking their game against the Gamecocks. They know that they got to lace up and play, but I don't think that they're overly concerned with their ability to do so. The talk has been, how can we simplify the offense, simplify the blocking schemes for this offensive line to just buy Lenoris some time, give him a little bit of time. We're too late in the year for that. I don't see that there's going to be any great change, especially not enough of one to take out Alabama. The Crimson Tide, unfortunately, will roll in Columbia on Saturday afternoon.
Look, man, Georgia's got a bye week this weekend, getting ready for the world's largest cocktail party next weekend. And look, man, I got to pull for someone. So I might as well pull for, usually it's Lane
How you
Kiffin.
doing?
He's my guy. We all
There you
know
go.
that. But I really think, no, and I'm not just being joking, man. I think if there's going to be an upset, and I know there's some people who are going to be like, oh, you're stupid. No, I think South Carolina has the potential to upset the Crimson Tide. I really do. I really
The
do.
big problem that Carolina continues to have again is the ability to keep their offense on the field. That starts with the offensive line. That starts with silly mistakes that are made up front. That starts with penalties. That starts with an inability to block an aggressive rush. Alabama has that. South Carolina has a very good defense, but they're on the field way too much. And I think that that's the downfall of the Gamecocks right now.
Yeah, I think Sellers is going to have a career game this weekend and do something. I think Dilla Stewart's probably going to maybe send 3 or 4 people to the hospital. I hope they're going to be okay, but I'm going ahead and projecting that right now. That's my take.
Well, I haven't seen the injury report. I've not heard that he's out, but he missed the majority of the game against the Sooners last week with an injury. So we'll see. We'll
Can't
see.
keep him down,
Appreciate.
baby. You can't keep him out.
Yeah.
Look, man, here's the next game. A really good, as much as I hate to say this, a really good 6-1, 2-1 in the SEC. Number 15, Missouri, is going to Nashville, Tennessee to take on a 6-1, 2-1 in the SEC. Number 10, Vanderbilt, anchored down the Fighting Pavias. And look, Vandy's favored to win that game by 2.5 points. I think Pavias does what Pavia has been doing and wins this game, sends Eli Drinkwitz packing and or hitting the strip in Nashville. I don't know which one. He may do both, but I like Vanderbilt in this game. I like Vanderbilt probably, almost the rest of the season, man. I think Vandy has an opportunity to be that sneaky team that could potentially make the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, we all know that my lack of favor for the evil one, but I will tell you that my next comment is not based on that. It is rooted in what the Vanderbilt Commodores are doing, not just this year, but what they are building upon. There you go, from last year. Um, Vandy's just a lot. They're real. They're proving that they're serious. As much as he looks like him, Diego Pavia does not set up shop on Sesame Street. He comes into your living room every Saturday and owns your snack bar. Look for Bert to do some really exciting things, and Ernie's going to have his way.
Yeah, I think so too. Um, all right, so here's another game that we talked about ramifications of a loss, right? We saw it last week. Let me phrase that. We saw we saw the ramifications of a win last week with Billy Napier. He won the game, but still got fired. But I think here could be a ramifications of a loss. A number 3, 7-0, 4-0 in the SEC. Texas A&M, the Fighting Aggies, are taking on a number 20, 5-2, 2-2 in the SEC, LSU, in Baton Rouge. A&M is favored to win that game by 2.5 points. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think the Tigers deliver A&M, the Fighting Aggies, their first loss, and I think Brian Kelly puts together a good win and wins the game. I do.
We got a lot of split decisions, it looks like, on the show this week. I like the Screaming Aggies, the Screaming Bobs. There you go. Warm up those vocal cords, guys. You're going to need it. LSU is a hostile environment, but I think that this is the one that actually gets out the for sale signs for Brian Kelly.
Wow. It could be. I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from Elko. I just think it's hard to continue to keep winning in this conference. And I think that this could be one of those games where he gets his first loss. But whatever it is, I mean, if they win or if they lose, A&M is having an incredible year. I mean, they are playing great football and better than what we expected them to do at this point in the season.
It is.
We thought Elko was going to get this program to this point. We didn't think it was going to be year 2.
Well, and this is the game, and this is, hang on, folks, back of the class, pay attention. This is the game that, while a win would get them to 8-0, this is the game that will prevent A&M from going 8-4 in another season. If they can make a big win in LSU against the Tigers, I know that they're struggling this year, but a win against LSU is always a win against LSU. If they can pull that out this week, then it will keep them from going 8-4 yet again. Look for them to at least get that 10th win this year, folks. You heard me. If they can beat LSU this week, you're looking at 10 wins this year for the Aggies.
And that is huge. Number 17, Tennessee, 5-2, 2-2 in the SEC, takes on a struggling 2-4, 0-4 in the SEC, Kentucky. Tennessee is favored to win that game by 7.5 points. They are going to Lexington, Kentucky. Look, man, I'm going to say it. We talk about games that could cause someone to get fired. Here's another one. Stoops has got to be on the seat, man. I mean, I know we talk about Kentucky. Yes, you're a basketball school, but I think they want to be a football school too. It's not we don't really care. They're not a Duke or a Wake Forest or one of those schools. They want to be relevant in the SEC. It's why they're in the SEC. So look out, Stoops.
Yeah, and I think that Duke is one of those schools like Kentucky where they have gone from a basketball school to a school that is hungry and eager to become known for football as well. Um, Stoops brought that to Kentucky. Stoops is the one that helped to change that dynamic. I think that this is a big game for them. It's in Lexington, which that's a dangerous place to play. They play with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder over there, especially later in the season when things have gotten off to a rocky start like they have this year. But speaking of Rocky, old Rocky Top is way more than the Wildcats can handle. The battle of this border goes to Tennessee.
Yeah, and you look, man, the only two teams Tennessee has lost to is Georgia and Alabama this year, man. And they were the Georgia game was in overtime, and even they hung with the Crimson Tide, a very very good Crimson Tide. Look, man, Tennessee and what Heupel's doing over there is just short of phenomenal. After the what happened in the offseason, yeah, I think Tennessee not only do they win, I think it is a massive win. One game left in the SEC, my friend. A number 22, 5-2, 2-1 in the SEC. The Texas Longhorns take on a 4-3, 0-3 in the SEC, Mississippi State in Starkville, Mississippi. Texas and Arch Manning are favored to win that game by 7.5 points. The over and under is 45.5. I am going to. I don't know. I just don't. I really don't know.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we defer for a
Ooh.
moment to my Uncle Kenny? Let's just see what he has to say about this game. The road into Starkville isn't pretty. It cuts through farmland and pine forest, past rusted tractors and weathered barns bleached gray by decades of Mississippi sun. You'll see old men sitting outside gas stations that haven't updated their Pepsi signs since the Clinton administration. Pickup trucks caked with red dirt, kudzu swallowing fence posts. It's not the kind of place meant to impress you. It's the kind of place meant to warn you. By the time you see the stadium lights in the distance, you understand. This isn't a trip. It's a test of nerve. Texas is starting to learn that truth, the slow, bruising catechism of SEC football. They wanted to walk through this new door into the league to prove they belonged here. They dreamed of Tuscaloosa in October, Athens in November, title shots, and Heisman moments. That's the fantasy. The reality is, nights like this, road games that stain your season like grease on denim, places that don't care what logo is on your helmet. Last week, Texas found out the hard way that respect in this league doesn't come with your invitation. They got out of Lexington with a win, but it felt like a gut punch disguised as survival. Kentucky didn't blink at the sight of burnt orange. Kroger Field, quirky, loud, bourbon soaked, and resentful, shook with the kind of hostility a new neighbor receives when he starts mowing part of someone else's yard. For most of 4 quarters, Kentucky pushed them around, hit them in the mouth, dared them to run. The Longhorns expected a football game. They got something closer to a bar fight. I've heard it said that a team hasn't really been welcomed in the SEC until they have experienced a sleepy dog fight in Lexington. Ask Georgia fans about last year. Arch Manning, young and talented and carrying the kind of name that draws cheers on arrival and boos everywhere else, was forced to grow up between the hashes. Kentucky blitz, disguised, twisted coverages until they looked like magic tricks. Arch took shots, got back up, took more. His stat line won't end up in any museum. 220 yards, a touchdown, a few misses he'll want back, but every throw felt heavier as the night wore on. Some games measure numbers. This one measured scar tissue. Texas walked away 27-23 winners, but no one smiled leaving Lexington. They didn't play well enough to feel good, but they didn't fold either. In the SEC, that counts for something. Style points don't travel, survival does. Coaches like to talk about identity. Road games give you one, whether you want it or not. And just when muscles are still sore and bruises still dark, here comes Starkville. If Lexington is bourbon, Starkville is moonshine. Legal now, maybe, but still carrying a renegade spirit. There's no grace here, no polite Southern charm. This is a place that has built a football reputation not on championships, but on spite and endurance, on the belief that noise itself can become a kind of faith. And then there are the cowbells. You can hear them long before you see the stadium, metal against metal, a strange metallic thunder. It sounds like someone shaking loose the railings of a collapsing bridge. Opponents claim to tune it out. They're lying. Players who've been through Starkville will tell you it does something to your wiring. It rushes your heartbeat, speeds up your thoughts. You check your wristbands twice. You shout signals 3 times. Mississippi State doesn't just want to beat you, they want to drown you. Mississippi State may not be the most talented team in the league, but that has never really mattered here. They play with something more primal. The defense flies around like it's allergic to hesitation. This isn't a team that tries to out pretty you. This is a team that drags you into the dirt and sees who stands up clean. And now they're even more dangerous because they've already lived the kind of heartbreak that scars in permanent ink. In losing coach Mike Leach, watching plans and certainly collapse under the weight of something bigger than football. They're no longer playing for rankings or narratives. They have been torn open and stripped down to a simple truth. They have nothing left to lose. That makes them lethal. Teams driven by fear can break. Teams playing angry can be outsmarted. But teams playing for each other with grief still hot in their blood, you better pack more than a game plan. You better pack resolve. Starkville isn't just loud right now, it's personal. There's a defiance simmering in this town, a feeling that Mississippi State has been underestimated, written off, dismissed as a schedule filler. Now, they're taking every slight personally and sitting at 4-3. They have dreams to consider. Texas is better on paper. They have the 5 stars, the brand, the ambition. But paper doesn't win road games in this league. Poise does. Patience does. Pain tolerance does. The SEC is a collection of memory keepers. Every loss, every slight, every insult, this league remembers. Starkville remembers. And the cowbells don't forget. And when the last bell stops ringing, when Starkville exhales and the lights fade over Scott Field, Texas won't just feel tired. They'll feel changed. Because in the SEC, road games don't just test you. They take you, they take from you too. We tried to tell you it just means more. The Texas Longhorns are walking directly into a buzzsaw.
Yeah, Uncle Kenny. Well said, my friend. Well said. Look, man, I think we all need more cowbell. No doubt about that. Um, Look, man, Uncle Kenny said something that I had to write down because I think it's worth talking about. Talk about grieving. Yes, there's players that are there that were there that may be there when Mike Leach, what happened to Mike Leach. But there's probably a lot of players that are not. There may be some coaches, some assistants that were there that came from the Mike Leach era that it was only a couple of years ago. But you know who was there? And I think plays one of the biggest parts in a game. Yes, I know the players play the game, but the fans carry them through it. And these fans are still grieving the loss of a Mike Leach, man. So, I mean, I'm going to tell you, I'm with Uncle Kenny on that. I think this is a huge, huge trap game for Texas to think that they're going in there. And look, Mississippi State, it's not like they're a bad team. I mean, for crying out loud, they won 4 games this year, 2 more than they did all of season last year. I think Texas loses this game. I think Starkville, I think the road, I think the environment is going to be too tough for them. And I like what Uncle Kenny says. Mississippi State wins this game.
I completely agree. I think that Mississippi State plays with a defiant aggression. They're not playing for, hey, what about us? We're Mississippi State. They're playing to inflict pain on you as though you can possibly imagine what they have felt over the last few seasons. They are going to shove it down your throat and make you endure even a snippet of what they've gone through. They have grown up in a big way this year. They've done all the things that they need to do in the gym, on the practice field to come out and punch you in the mouth, step on your throat, and hold you down in that mud. Mississippi State comes out on top on Saturday.
Yeah, I think the Longhorns are going to get covered up by that kudzu, and that's it, man. I think it's going to be a great, fun game to watch. Maybe this is a game that Arch he still is not snapped out of it. Arch has not arrived. It's not like that win in Lexington against Kentucky. It was ugly. Arch didn't have this incredible game. They just won against a very terrible Kentucky team this year.
Well, keep in mind, one of the things that we kept talking about last year is why aren't they playing Arch over Quinn Ewers? Why aren't they playing Arch over Quinn Ewers? And I don't know that it really comes down to a strict line of talent. Well, Quinn was obviously more talented than Arch. I don't think so. I think that Quinn was more tested than Arch. And coming into the SEC, as we've heard from Uncle Kenny, that means a lot. Weathering storms, having the ability to play like a grizzled old man at quarterback in the SEC can carry a football team. And what we're seeing here, I think and I hope, is the overall growth process of Arch Manning. It's very difficult to come and run an offense, especially a high powered one like Texas has the ability to have in this conference. These aren't just other college guys on the other side of that line of scrimmage playing defense. These are men. These are guys that are destined for the NFL. That's what Arch is lining up against every week. I don't care what logo's on the helmet or what color the jersey is. He's going up against superstars, track athletes covered in muscle, ready to hit you and hurt you. This is a maturation process this year for Arch Manning. I look for him to come through it. I look for him to be a different quarterback next year than he is this year. I think there's been too much reliance, maybe even in his own head, on the fact that, hey, he's a Manning. This is what we do. We're quarterbacks. Not only quarterbacks, we're great quarterbacks. And the SEC said, no, not yet.
Yeah, I think so too. And you reference the, playing like an old man. And the first thing that came to my mind was this. You have to go into each of these games and play like a 63-year-old Brett Favre when he went to play at Minnesota. When he left Green Bay and played at Minnesota, this dude was well past his prime, and he won games. Actually, I think went to the Super Bowl, or at least made it to maybe there's an NFC championship or something like that, because he played with just sheer toughness and grit. He was Brett Favre, the gunslinger, man. I'm just going to find a way to win even though my arthritis is killing me. That's how Arch has got to get it. That's how Quinn Ewers played last year, the last 2 years. He just played with that grit. Arch has got to find that grit, man.
Yeah. And I think that will happen. I think it comes with time. There's only one way to get grit and experience, and that's with time. So look for that maybe next year. But I think this week in Starkville, the Longhorns drop one and the Bulldogs come out on top.
Yeah, just really quick, one more thing, man, about Arch is we got to remember he redshirted his freshman year. So he technically, after the season, still has 2 more years he could play and really establish himself. And I think he does that. I really do. And I think he does it at Texas. I don't think they move on from Arch. I think he's going to, at the end of the season, he's going to have some decent games. I don't think it'll be against Georgia and Athens in November. I went in and just dropped that hint right there. Anyway, look, guys, like us, share us, follow us. Look, man, our audience is growing. It's a great thing to see. Keep the comments coming. I know that we were kind of under some time strains this morning, so we couldn't get into the dog barks, man, but keep those comments coming. We love them. Ruby, please listen. Keep listening. Keep commenting. We love you, buddy. Look, man, I don't have anything else. Chicken, you good?
I remember Jesus won, and I am all crowed out.
All right, guys. Love us, like us, share us. Deuces.